Hi, you wonderfully created. Welcome to CreatedIAm. This is 21 things I wish I knew before I started sewing. Trust me, it's going to save you a lot of time, it's going to save a number of your projects, and it's going to save you a bit of cash. And the best part, they don't take that long to implement at all. Number 1. Fabric scissors are precisely for fabric. I had to learn this the hard way. You have a project, you have a craft you're doing, and you need some scissors. So what do you find? Your fabric scissors, and you're about to use them. Don't. Grab some normal scissors made for paper. This blue scissors that I have is meant to be fabric scissors, but now I use it for paper because I had to learn the hard way and I ruined them and they're not very good for fabric. If you have people in your home that use your stuff, just keep a box with scissors close by. Number 2. You've sewed 2 pieces together and it's either 2 pieces you weren't meant to sew together, or maybe you sewn an item that's a bit too tight, so you need to undo the seam so that you can redo it. Please do not do what I have done in the past and grab some scissors. Do not, I repeat, do not do that, okay? It's not a good idea. Just grab some seam rippers. One, you could be saving material, like here I can save some velcro and a zip. And also, if you're trying to make a smaller piece bigger and you cut off the seam, you're creating more work for yourself. So the additional part you're adding might not compensate for the part you just cut off. Just use a seam ripper. Number 3, keep your scraps, and I mean everything. This basket stays near my sewing machine and I put all the scraps which pretty much can't be used again, and I also put my loose threads in there. It helps keep my floor and desk tidy. I also have a bigger box which I keep under my desk for medium-sized scraps, things I could use to finish off cuffs or things like that, and then I have another box with even bigger scraps in them. Pretty much don't throw anything away because you can either use it for stuffing later if you want to do something like a pin cushion, which I might be looking at, and also you'll be surprised what comes in handy later. I made this top from scraps that I kept. It coupled up with a skirt. I didn't have any more of that fabric left, and if I threw away that scrap or just discarded it, I would not have been able to make this top, and it's one of my favorites. So keep your scrap. Number 4. Have spares. One of the reasons we make the common mistakes as newbie sewers is because we're so excited about a project and we want to just move along and get it done. So when we can't find certain items like the seam ripper, somehow it just disappears. We grab something else we're not meant to. So just buy spares. Don't break the bank. You can get these things really cheap online and then you won't be making those common mistakes that people make. Number 5. Bobbins. Load them up. I don't know why. I don't know if anyone else is like that out there. For some reason, loading up bobbins is just something I don't like doing. I've gotten better at them, and one of the reasons I've gotten better at them is because I've realized if I have a big project, I need to load up on my bobbins before I start any sewing. So if I'm halfway through the project and the bobbin finishes, it's really simple and quick just to switch it out. Number 6. You've loaded your bobbin, so now you need to get the bottom string to come out through so you can start sewing. Instead of just going in with your project, grab one of those scrap pieces that you kept before and use that to bring it through. This is helpful so that when you then bring over your project, it stops things like bunching happening, so give it a go. Number 7. If you notice this when you sew, it might be because you are adjusting your fabric with your needle up. If you know you're going to be making major adjustments, turn your needle so that it's through your fabric. Adjust all you like and then realign and continue sewing. Now, if you're doing something simple like a hem, that's quite quick and straightforward, you don't need to worry about that too much. Number 8. I had to learn. Stop giving yourself so much seam allowance. Like literally now, I only give myself 1 centimeter seam allowance. In the past, I hear people say like, oh, give yourself an inch. I'll give myself 2. And then on top of that, when I'm cutting it out, I'll then give myself even more seam allowance. And there's no point, because what you end up doing later is you have to keep adjusting and adjusting. Number 9. Trim, trim, and trim. Just cut them off before you sew. Don't do that thing where you try and tuck it in whilst you're sewing. That's again what contributes to those little bumps in your lines. and it just takes up time and it cuts your flow. Just take that extra 30 seconds to a minute to trim those pieces off so you have a smooth line to actually sew with. Number 10, do not yank the thread. Don't do that thing where you pull it with your hand. Use the cutter on your sewing machine or just grab some scissors. I would admit that I still do this now, but a lot less. This was the invisible mask that I have up on my YouTube channel, and as you can see, I pull the thread and it's long enough to use the sewing machine cutter, but no, I just pull it with my hands, and as a result, the thread is coming off. I did fix it by going back and sewing it again. Number 11. Keep your failed projects. I know it can be frustrating when you spend quite a bit of time and effort and care into sewing a piece and it doesn't work out, but don't throw it away. It can be a learning experience. And also, I found that just giving yourself that time, a couple of days, a couple of months, I then come back to them and wonder, but what was wrong? For example, this skirt, I can see the way I sewed the lines aren't quite straight. But for a lot of these projects, I can actually come back and finish them. And some of my favorite pieces, like this piece, is from failed projects. So just giving yourself that break and then coming back to it is really nice. On top of that, you might find that you really like that fabric, and so later on you know how to transform that piece into something else. Number 12. When you start sewing, get into the habit of pulling your thread to the back. What can happen sometimes is you've sewn another piece and then you're just rushing, you're not looking at where your thread is, and then you sew it like this, maybe towards the side. Take your time to pull the thread to the back and then start sewing. This can help stop jamming and also stop that bunching effect that happens at the start of some of your pieces. Number 13. Now that you've put your thread at the back, you can actually now use it to pull to guide some pieces. I found with smaller pieces it's very useful to help make sure the sewing machine doesn't struggle. Number 14. Have you had those times where you're really taking your time with cutting, you've tried to have the right seam allowance, and for some reason the two pieces still do not align? Now you might think, okay, I'm just going to be a boss and I'm going to fight through this pain and just sew over it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, just hold on there a minute. Don't do that. What you need to do is sew onto the point where the two pieces meet. So here are my smaller pieces at the bottom, but I still stopped, as you can see. Why? Because later you're going to have to trim it. If you sew past where they overlap, what you're going to find is you're cutting off the reverse stitch, which is the secure end. And I've had a number of occasions, especially with the arms, where I have to go back and redo something before I can attach it to another piece because it's coming loose because I trimmed it off. Number 15. Buy from non-specialists. I know fabric stores look beautiful and all their fabric and tools look beautiful, but from my experience they're a lot more pricey than going to somewhere like Amazon or even places like Poundland. They have some nice buttons and some nice little pieces that you can get. So very rarely have I thought I had to go to a specialist store to buy something. It's cheaper just to get it online. Number 16. If you ever find yourself in a situation where your needle isn't moving, do not just try to continue sewing. Take your fabric out, check what's going on, fix the machine or fix the thread. You might have to open the bobbin slot and then carry on. Number 17. If you want to guide your fabric, go ahead. But that's what you should be doing, guiding, not pulling. The tension on the guiding arm and the arm closest to you should be the same or very similar. So you should be able to feel that equal tension. Now, a way around this, which I might look into later, is a walking foot, and I've heard that really helps with fabrics. But remember, guide, don't pull. Number 18. Have you ever had that situation where you've sewn one piece and so you put that aside and grab the other piece and start sewing, but your thread keeps coming out? Now that might be because this part of your sewing machine is not at the highest point. You need to pull it to be at this highest point. You can see how, savvy I am. I know all the names. I don't, but I've noticed that that's actually why sometimes my thread comes out, because that part of my sewing machine is not at the highest point. My needle is. So when I start sewing, the pull is so strong, the thread comes out. Number 19. Cover your sewing machine. Despite the fact, I've probably been an amateur in my own words sewer for years. Like I started in secondary school. I've only started doing this more so recently, at least consciously more so recently. You can use a linen bag, you can use the original cover that the sewing machine came with, you can use a Tesco, a Sainsbury's, a Asda bag, you can even make your own. If you're making your own sewing machine cover, make sure the material is not one that will shed over time. Number 20. Do try and clean out your sewing machine. Now I know some sewing machines come with little dusters you can use. I can't find mine, so once in a while I just use what I have and clean it out. Number 21. Take a break. I've had those moments when I have lots of ideas, I'm really inspired, I want to make something really cool, and I'm just spending lots and lots of time on it, and sometimes that's really exhausting and you don't realize it, and it can make you make more mistakes or not appreciate the work you're putting in. So just give yourself an hour, a day or week's break and then come back to the project, especially if you feel like it's not going well. It might do you good. I hope you like those 21 tips. Let me know the ones you find most useful below. Do like, share and subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and remember, you are wonderfully created.